What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here with another live stream for you guys. We're going to be recapping the Brighton game last night. We've got ratings, reacts, and we're going to be looking back at what happened yesterday and what we can learn from it. We've got Amir in the house to go through what happened yesterday in what was a good comeback, a good performance, but ultimately we didn't get 3 points. Amir, welcome back to the channel. Lovely to see you as always. How are we doing? How are we feeling?
Thank you very much, Sim. I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good off a nice little break. And look, I'm sure we'll get into everything that happened yesterday, but I think overall it's a point well taken at a very, very tough ground away from home, and a fight back from our team. So yeah, I'm sure we'll get into all of it.
Yeah, look, obviously yesterday, as you say, 2-0 down against Brighton, ended up coming back to 2-2. Some very interesting comments from Thomas Frank post-match. He said it was Tottenham's most complete performance of the season, and especially offensively, our best performance, despite the fact we conceded 2 goals and were 2-0 down. We came back and obviously got that draw. What did you make out of those comments from Thomas Frank? Because it's quite interesting to, on the face of it, from the outside looking in, he's saying a 2-2 draw away at a team like Brighton when we were 2-0 down. He's saying that was our best performance of the season when we've obviously beaten Man City away 2-0. We've obviously we took PSG right to the wire. We've had beat West Ham away 3-0, beat Burnley at home 3-0. But he said this performance was our best performance of the season. What did you make out of those comments, and do you agree with him?
Look, in terms of the fight back, it showed something that we haven't seen so far under Thomas Frank. We went 1-0 down against Bournemouth and we couldn't really fight back in that one. So in terms of a fight back, it was our best performance. But in terms of overall, I do still think that the kind of 3-0 win away at West Ham was very, very significant, as was the away win up at City. But I think what Frank was really trying to get at is the overall performance of the team and the fluidity in the ways we were moving the ball. I mean, you saw when Xavi Simons came on, I think we were really, really flowing and we were creating chances, and he was getting into really nice pockets with Kudus, cutting the ball back in. So I think that's what Frank really liked, and I do think on any other day, Sim, we would have come away with 3 points from that game because we had some chances to score more goals, and I do think the second goal, 9 times out of 10, I do think your keeper should be saving that one. So yeah, I think there's so many positives to take from that game.
Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to how we played on the ball, in terms of how threatening we were looking, how we were getting in behind them on the kind of underlaps and overlaps out wide. When, as you say, when Xavi came on and Bergvall came a bit deeper, we were kind of opening them up really significantly, and especially given the fact we were 2-0 down. In fact, I didn't think we deserved to be 2-0 down when we were. I thought it was a bit harsh on us. I know they kind of exploited a very high line for the first goal, and as you say, it was a bit of a howler for me from Vicario for the second goal. Every keeper in the league should be stopping that. I think Vicario, even Frank admitted it after the game, he should be saving that. So I think we were actually the better team when the game started. I thought we started bright. Udogie was roaring down that left hand side. We were looking really promising. If the cutbacks were just a bit better timed, or the runs, were a split second difference, millimeter different, we could have been ahead ourselves. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. They exploited us and went 2-0 up. But I thought that was quite harsh. And we didn't let our heads drop. We battled back and we just kept playing our football. We kept doing the right things, and the chances ultimately came. I thought we 100% stepped it up a lot more when Xavi came on. I think he changed the game, really, when he came on. He just gave out a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of magic in that number 10. That little, that ability to take the ball on the half turn, weave in between players, create something out of nothing. That moment where he had that shot from the edge of the box, which Verbruggen saved. He just took the ball from the left-hand side, just weaved inside into the box. No one could get near him, and unfortunately his shot was tipped wide, but really good effort from him on that occasion. Even the second goal, the way I think he weaved in between 2 players, sprayed out wide to Kudus, who ultimately his cross led to the own goal. So that little bit of sparkle, coupled with Bergvall, I think, elevating his game once he went deep, he became like a new player. when he moved deeper. I thought when he was in the 10, not saying he's been like this in general, but yesterday when he was in the 10, he was a bit out of the game, wasn't really working those tight spaces, wasn't getting things right. His touch was a bit off. Once he moved a bit deeper, I think he became a new man. He was getting stuck into tackles. He was driving forward. He was picking the ball up off the centre-backs in the deeper position. I think he felt a lot more comfortable, and it kind of just led to the team being so much more fluid, and Kudus was causing havoc down the right-hand side. Udogie was causing havoc down the left-hand side. Javi was causing havoc down the centre. And it seemed like every way we went, they didn't know how to deal with us. And I think from that point of view, that's probably the only time this season when I think we've had a threat from kind of every kind of stage of the pitch. Whereas I think in previous games, it's like, okay, when we attack down the right, we look threatening, but down the left, it's been breaking down, and down the centre, we've been struggling. But I think, would you agree, this is probably the first time we've seen all around the pitch we've had threats?
Yeah, it's almost... it's that those threats linked up in that game, whereas other games before it was a bit patchy, we might get something from a set piece. And I do think the key to all of that really was when Xavi came on and moving Bergvall a little bit further back. The midfield that I'd like to see going into that Wolves game next week is probably something along the lines of Palhinha, Bentancur, and then Bergvall in the middle, and then Xavi in that 10. That's where I kind of want to see him week in, week out. I think is where he's going to be the most useful and at his most dangerous. And then with the threats we've got on the wings with Kudus and whoever's playing off the left, whether it's Odobert, Tell, or someone like Johnson, I think we've got a lot of threats, and I think we will start to see the interplay and the link up play coming along a lot better, and chance creation as well. I'm looking for my boys to take more shots from the edge of the box. Xavi, that was a really great save by the keeper to keep him out. We've seen Sarr hit a few from outside the box. We know he can hit them. I want to see Kudus as well, try and get on that score sheet, have some long shots as well. And I think the more kind of tools that we have in our kit with regards to the attacking, whether that's from corners, long throws, crosses, Kudus cutting it back, long shots, I think that's all going to help us moving forward and trying to really do something here with Frank. And I'm liking what I'm seeing, Sim, to be honest with you. I'm feeling really confident about the future. I also think we've done pretty well in the market with the players that we've brought in. So I'm very positive about the future and about where we're going as a club. Of course, we've had major changes up at the top as well with Daniel Levy leaving. That's another huge positive, in my opinion. So yeah, it's really exciting times at Spurs.
I agree, and people like in the lead up to this game and the previous games, because I've been saying in the games beforehand, kind of, yes, we're winning and it's great, but still we're not seeing probably enough on the ball, enough ability to create chances, enough maybe good enough ball progression or build up through the thirds and stuff like that. And even though we're not showing that and we're winning, that's great, but we still want to see that improvement. But I did think we did see that improvement yesterday, even though we didn't win. So, I want to give praise to that. And I think Frank, it was interesting. If you watched his press conference yesterday, he seemed really excited with what he saw, and he seemed really, really happy, which is odd considering we didn't win. Albeit, obviously, coming back from 2-0 down, claiming a point against a good team like Brighton should be something which, at the end of the day, that's not an easy thing to do, and you commend the team for having that mentality of just keep plugging away, especially once it gets into like the final 10 minutes and we're still 2-1 down, and you've just got to keep trying to find something. And we did. We just kept doing what we needed to do on the pitch, kept asking questions. We never dropped our heads. And so I think Frank liked their mentality, but I also think he really liked what he saw from our ability to attack down the right with Kudus. We had also Porro pinging those long passes over the top to Richarlison at times. You had Udogie flying down the left-hand side. You had Simmons in the middle. So I think he really liked that dynamic. And I think it was leading to a lot more fluidity within the team and a lot more ability to kind of attack the opposition. And it looked a lot better on the eye. And I think Frank, he was really excited with what he saw. And that excited me. the fact that he was seeing what he wanted to see. Because he admitted, like, against Villarreal after the game, he was like, look, good win, but wasn't the best performance. Like, he's admitted that even when we're winning and getting good results, he's kind of come out and said, look, the attack isn't where we want it to be. And so I think it was great for him to acknowledge, even though we didn't win yesterday, that is what we want to start seeing from our attack and from our forward players, that kind of fluidity and that kind of chance creation. And that kind of ability to hurt the opposition from multiple different angles, because that was something we've been struggling with, I think, throughout the season so far. And yeah, I think I'm very excited with what I saw yesterday, even though we didn't win. And I think, yeah, albeit we didn't get the 3 points, I think there's a lot to be excited about by the way we came back and the way we attacked Brighton. And I think we were the better team. We were unlucky not to get 3 points yesterday, I felt.
Yeah, no, I agree, Sim. I really do. And again, like I said earlier, I do think that on any other day, we would get the job done. Vicario's mistake really was a howler. To be 2 down was really,
And it ended up costing us, didn't it?
it did. Look, I feel like, if we go into that half 1-1 and we start, I think we go on to win that game. But look, the signs are very, very positive. We've got to also remember that we've got some players that are out that are going to be huge for us coming into the running of the season. You've got Kulu, Madders to come back. You've got Muani who was out. So there's a lot of positives, And I do think though that the main reason why Frank was so happy with that performance was the kind of interplay up at the front, where as soon as Xavi came on, you really saw us kind of flowing with Kudus as well down that right, causing havoc every time he was taking his man on. You can see what we're trying to build. It's going to take a few more games. It is early stages here at the moment. So
I mean, evidence of that is, yesterday it was Udogie's first start under Frank and Odobert's first start under Frank. Players are still getting their first starts, for the manager. So that's how early we are in this tenure.
Very, very early. So, it's going to take, I'm asking the fans to be a bit patient with the whole project. We're off to a decent enough start.
We're second in the league.
Yeah, we're playing well. We won our first Champions League game. We've got Doncaster midweek that I'm hoping some of the younger players will get a chance to shine, and hopefully we get a result there. Then we move on to Wolves, which is a potential banana peel, but hopefully we'll get through that, and then we move on to more Champions League. So it's a work in progress, Sim. It's a work in progress. I think mainly for us fans, we just need to get behind the team, get behind Frank, get behind all the players, the new boys. Put our arms around them as much as we can, and build off success in Bilbao. I don't think people quite equate how big of a moment that was for us in Bilbao to get the monkey off the shoulder. It's a European title. And it really does kind of lay the foundation for what we're building here with Thomas Frank. So I'm really, really positive, and I'm along for the ride.
Yeah, 100%. I think Frank has started really well, and it is a great result, and it keeps us obviously in the league. It's only 5 games, and it's hard to take too much about your league position, but we are second in the league. At the time of recording, obviously Arsenal could overtake us with a win or a draw later, but I think Frank, at the beginning of his tenure, I don't think we could ask for much more in terms of what he's given us so far, results-wise, and also just tightening up that back line. I know we conceded 2 goals yesterday, and I think maybe obviously the first goal, we were just caught out. Van de Ven jumps where maybe he shouldn't jump. And I think Udogie's caught up the pitch. Odobert is covering him. Odobert just doesn't track his man, and it was a bit of a mess. But the second goal, that's not really a chance, is it? That's just a pot shot from 30 yards. That should never, and it should never have gone in. Vicario's got to say that. Apart from that, I don't really remember too many real clear-cut opportunities that Brighton had. They had a couple of efforts from outside the box, which nearly caused us a bit of trouble. But apart from that, I still think we defended quite well yesterday, especially in that second half. So I still think that defensive solidity is there, which is good. And so once we start seeing a lot more of the attacking fluidity we saw yesterday, it's really going to be something to behold. So I'm really excited about what I'm seeing, and I kind of agree with Frank when he said it's our best performance of the season. When it can't, I think. I guess depends what you want from a display. Was it our best defensive display of the season? I mean, maybe not our best, but it wasn't our worst. But when you couple the fact of how good we were going forward and how we were able to hurt them and how much control we had, I would say as a complete picture, I think there's an argument to say that. I think maybe Man City should probably say, because I think we were so solid defensively and we were a threat going forward. But then again, I mean, we probably conceded more chances against Man City than we did against Brighton, even though we conceded 2 goals. You know what I mean? Because City had probably had that one-on-one, which Vicario had to save. Like we did concede some chances. So I think sometimes the performance doesn't always equal the result. I think that's what Frank's trying to say. And I think yesterday was a real step in the right direction for me, despite the fact we only drew. And look, going away to Brighton, there's no disgrace in getting a 2-2 draw, is it? It's not like it's a terrible result. There'll be a lot of good teams going to Brighton and not getting the result. Man City just a couple of weeks ago lost 2-1 there. So it's not an easy place to go. So to go and come back and get the draw when you're 2-0 down, I think we got to take a lot of credit and a lot of positives from that one. And I think it's definitely a point gained rather than 2 points lost. Do you agree with that?
Oh, fully. Amex, very difficult place to go. Most of the big teams, struggle to come away there with points. So, yeah, we fought back really well. We take the point, we move on. I think we've got some really important games coming up, and it's just about getting ourselves prepared and ready for those now.
As you say, we've got some really interesting fixtures between now and next international break. Our next 4 fixtures are Doncaster, Wolves at home, Bodo away, and Leeds away. So a real chance to build some momentum if we can start getting on a string of wins. Look, obviously you look at those fixtures, and we're obviously favourites for all of those fixtures, but Bodo away can always be a tricky game. I know we beat them last season, but that can be a tricky game. Leeds seem to be on decent form, so going away is never going to be easy. Wolves, I know they've lost every game, but Dr. Tottenham rearing its ugly head, you can never be too sure about that. So there are obviously reasons to be fearful we're not going to win all of them, but surely you've got to be looking at that run and think, before the international break, we could be going into October with some serious momentum behind us.
We could, but let's take it game by game, Sim. For me, Doncaster's, that's the one we need to be focused on now. Get that one out of the way, and then we move on to Wolves, which is that's a huge banana peel right there. Everyone expects us to get 3 points. They're usually the toughest games. We've been scarred by Wolves in the past as well. We just got to keep focused and be professional about how we conduct ourselves going into these fixtures.
Yeah, absolutely right. All right, that is how we saw the game yesterday. Let's get into the player ratings for yesterday and see how we rated each player. Well, Amir hasn't given a rating, so you got my ratings for this one. Amir can just chime in as and when. First up, we got Vicario in goal. I gave him a 5. Look, the goal, I couldn't look past it. That really, it should be saving it. I'm sorry. For me, a lot of people saying, it's not a howler. It's not a great goal, but it's not a howler. For me, it's a bit of a howler. Like, that is quite central. He got a massive hand to it as well. He's got to be keeping that out. I'm sorry. He has to be keeping it out. There is no excuse for not saving that, especially from that angle as well. I know there was a bit of swerve on it. It was a decent strike, don't get me wrong, but it's one where I think most keepers in the league should be expected to save that. So I had to give him a 5. Apart from that, he was okay, I thought. I mean, he made some saves, but didn't have to make too many other saves, did he, apart from that?
I'll be honest with you, Sim. I think 5 is being a bit too kind even. I might even give him a 4 for his performance. That wasn't a good save. It was weak fingers, footwork maybe a bit wrong as well, not stood in the right position. And if you want to be extra critical, the Minte chance as well, the first goal, I think if he stands up a little bit better and does a little bit better, he can push Minte more towards the wing.
Well,
Um,
went down
so-
early, you think?
yeah, I think he went down way too early.
Mm.
Way too early. For me, he telegraphed it and Minter just read it and went to the right and just slotted it in. So yeah, I would give him a 4.
Okay, next up, Pedro Porro. I gave him a 7. I thought it was a decent display, put in a lot of crosses, especially in the first half. It felt like our most dangerous avenue was when he was kind of whipping in early crosses and creating some chances. He also played a lovely early pass to Richarlison, I remember, who was got in behind, but his shot went into the side netting. I thought second half he helped Kudus quite well, but I was reading the stats and he was dangerous, but he put in 15 crosses and only one of them was accurate. So need a bit better from him from that. But I do like the amount of crosses he was putting in, and he was looking dangerous. And I thought Mitoma, I didn't think got the beating of him too many times. So I thought, yeah, gave him a 7.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's about fair. I would say 6 or 7. Yeah,
yeah.
somewhere around there for me. There was one little run that Matoma had. I think he did quite well, but yeah, apart from that, Pedro's been so solid this season. He's been one of our most consistent performers, and yeah, I'm loving the way he's playing really this season.
Yeah, I think he's yeah, and he never seems to get injured, does he? Incredible, Mr. Resilient.
Touch wood.
Touchwood, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Cuti Romero, I gave him an 8. I thought he did keep Minte onside, unfortunately, for the goal, but I thought second half he was so good, Romero. He really kind of took the fight to Brighton in that second half, stepping up, kind of getting those tackles in, made sure Rutter was not getting any joy. I think he saw Van de Ven in that first half. He allowed Rutter to turn and get that pass in behind to Minte when he stepped up. And I thought Romero saw that and he thought, you know what? I ain't allowing Rutter to do that again. And every time Rutter got the ball in that second half, Romero, bam, right into him, getting that tackle in, either fouling him or he was or tackling him. I thought he was exceptional. And obviously, you know his passing, how good it is. It was that good again yesterday. I thought he would have brilliant game, mostly in the second half. But yeah, solid, really good performance from Romero.
Yeah, I agree with that one. That I think Cooties been marvelous. You know, since he's got the extra little bit of responsibility as well. He's got the big old hand around the shoulder from Frank. Yeah, new contract, just going from strength to strength with Cootie.
Yeah, absolutely. Van de Ven, I gave a 7. I think for the goal, for the opening goal, he's got to be a bit culpable because he steps out. He sees that Udogie's caught upfield. Odobert's the one tracking Minte, and he sees Rutter's about to pick up the ball. And for me, he steps up when he shouldn't. If you step up, you've got to make sure Rutter doesn't pass. And he allowed Rutter to make the pass. They got him behind, and obviously they got the goal. So I think he's got to take responsibility for that. Apart from that, I thought he played decent. Didn't have to do too many of his famous recoveries. I thought his passing was pretty good. Wasn't as combative as Romero, but we know that's not his game. So yeah, I gave him a 7. Yeah.
I think just if we're going to be a little bit harsh, we know the quality that VDV has to go to sleep for that first goal. Maybe just a 6. I'd give him a 6 just because I know Mickey's levels that he can play at 8s, at 9s every week. So yeah, I expect a little bit better from him. I also want to see a little bit more on corners. He's so big and strong, Mickey. Come on, get your head on some of them. We had so many corners yesterday and we didn't really utilize them. So
It's funny you say that because Frank said the same thing. Frank said he wants him to score more headers. He said because he scored against West Ham, and there was a little clip of him of Frank putting his arm around Van de Ven, and he was asked what you were saying to him. He said, "I'm happy you scored, but next time I want it to be a header." He said, I need you to score more headers."
He's right. Romero and Van de Ven, they need to be getting on the score sheet this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Destiny Udogie. For me, man of the match, I gave him a 9. I thought best performance of a fullback this season I've seen in a Tottenham shirt. Came into the team, first start of the season. He was exceptional. I thought, I know the first goal caught up the pitch a bit, but That was more Odobert kind of not feeding him rather than Udogie's fault. I thought going forward, absolutely unstoppable. His power was incredible. I think the timing of the runs, him getting in behind and creating chances from the cutbacks was incredible. They just couldn't stop him. And I thought defensively, after Minte's goal, he was a non-fixture. I thought Udogie was getting in position and just snuffing him out every single time. I thought Udogie was absolutely hands down the best player on the pitch, and to do that from left back says a lot. He was absolutely as well. His stamina, he relentless, absolutely relentless throughout the whole game. It was incredible. He just couldn't be stopped. And there was also a moment in the second half, Brighton had a 3-on-1 and he just cut it out. He just came across, I think he was Mitoma, he stopped him in his tracks, made sure no chance came of it. He kind of just bailed us out of jail a couple of times defensively. Was brilliant in one-on-ones with Minter. And I thought going forward, they couldn't handle him. Absolutely couldn't handle him. So what a performance from Udogie. Brilliant.
No, fantastic. The only thing is, Sim, I think 9 is maybe just that little bit too high. I would go with an 8. I would go with an 8. For me, a 9, Sim, is somebody who's also contributed in goals and assists and done something to really, like, stand out. But he did have a very, very solid game. Good first performance under Frank. And I want to see a lot more from Udogie. He's had his injury problems, unfortunately, since he's joined us. So, I just hope he can stay fit all season and show us what he's got. Because to be honest with you, when I used to see him, it was Udinese, was it?
Yeah.
He was fantastic, and he was scoring a lot of goals as well, going forward. So he's another one. I want to see him getting on the score sheet. We'll see him assisting more. And again, the only reason I'm probably being a little bit harsh is because I expect so much from Udogie. We know what he's capable of when he's at his best. And yeah, long may these great performances continue.
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal. Next up, Bentancur. I gave him a 6. Wasn't his best game. I thought on the ball, making some bad decisions. Although was involved in the goal. I don't know whether you think he was right. Some decisions he made within the goal. He passed it to Odobert when he could have passed it to Bergvall. Then ended up passing it to Kudus when he could have shot. But look, it ended up in a goal. So can't have too many complaints. But I thought Frank made a good decision taking him off, putting Bergvall deeper, and it really changed us. So yeah, Bentancur wasn't like a disaster class, but just wasn't great.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think wasn't his best. I personally, Sim, I knew we weren't winning that game when I saw the midfield. Bentancur and Palhinha, for me, that shouldn't be deployed against a team like Brighton. I would have wanted to see maybe a Sarr in there instead, or Xavi in the 10 and Bergvall in the 8. But yeah, not his best game, but he's been solid for us this season and he's been playing pretty well. Again, he's a very silky player, and when he's at his best, he's unplayable. But he needs to get back to those levels. He's another one who had some very, very bad injuries, was unlucky, getting injured twice in the same season, quite significantly. So I want to see Bentancur back to his best. And I think we will. We're seeing better and better performances as the season goes on with Rodrigo.
Absolutely. Next up, João Palhinha. I gave him a 9. I was so impressed with his combativeness. I think he won 7 tackles on the day, which is a monstrous amount. He won 8 out of his 10 ground duels as well. I thought, especially in that second half when we had Xavi and Bergvall together, a lot of that responsibility in midfield laid on him to just keep winning the ball back and keep us on the front foot. And I thought he did it absolutely impeccably. This was a fantastic kind of defensive midfielders display. He won the ball as well in the middle of the park for the first goal, which got us on our way to scoring. And I thought, like, passing-wise, look, it didn't have to overcomplicate things, but I think just kept things ticking over nicely. This was one of his better performances, really impressed, so I gave him a 9.
No, that's a fair shout. Again, I would just go one less, just with an 8, because I'd want to see something a little bit special to get to that 9 for me. But yeah, he was fantastic. In terms of our signings, I think actually in the long run, this might be our most important one, especially if we do make it permanent. and keep him around for the next few seasons. He's so solid, and he's a bone crusher. He
Yeah.
just every single tackle, he's just there. He smash, and that's what I want from my defensive midfielder. We haven't had that kind of player since probably Wanyama. I would say was the last one who did that kind of role to the level that I expect. And yeah, Palhinha was fantastic. Long may it continue. And yeah, no striker, no wingers. Nobody's going to want to play against this guy because you know what's coming.
Absolutely. Next up, Lucas Bergvall. I gave him a 7. You could probably split Bergvall's rating into two ratings because first half, when he was in that number 10 position,
Mm.
I thought he really struggled to get in the game. His touch was a bit off. I don't think he was having a great game, to be honest, and that would probably be a 5. And then once he moved into the deeper midfielder position, I thought he came alive, and all of a sudden he was one of the best players on the pitch, and that could be like an 8. So I gave him a 7. I thought overall it was a pretty good game, especially in that second half. I thought he was exceptional. The drive and that little bite in the challenge. I remember there was that one moment where he makes a slide tackle, the ball then goes free, and he goes for another 50-50, and makes another slide tackle, wins it, and then it fell to Kudus and it got us on the attack. Like, he was doing that kind of stuff throughout that second half. I thought the second half he was exceptional, but he did struggle in that first half when he was playing in the number 10 position. He kind of, the positions he was taking up was fine, but his touch was a bit off. He wasn't great in the tight spaces. But yeah, in the 8, he was absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, I gave him a 7.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think seven's fair for overall. Again, phenomenal player. The future's so bright with that kid. Honestly, he can do so many things. He's wonderful on the ball, bringing it forward. He likes a tackle as well. He gets stuck in, and he knows where the goal is as well. He scored some brilliant goals last season. The one against Liverpool really sticks out, and of course that gorgeous header against West Ham. So. Yeah, he's going straight to the top of football. He just needs to keep developing and working his game. And I think you're right, Sim. I think the 8, that's his perfect position. I think we leave the 10 for Xavi Simons, man. That guy, that he's got that position. He should have that position locked down this season. So yeah, I want to see a bit more of Bergvall in the 8. And long may his progression continue because what a player we have on our hands.
Absolutely. Next up, Wilson Odobert. First start of the season in the Premier League. I gave him a 6. Look, he didn't do an amazing amount going forward, but I think for me, what he was doing was kind of you noticed what he was doing when he went off, because once Johnson came on, I think all our ability to attack down the left was completely gone, because what Odobert was doing was receiving the ball and linking up with Udogie, finding those little passes, not giving the ball away, making the ball stick and just carrying on the attack. So I think that was really, really great, what he was doing, the link up on the left-hand side and just making sure he's linking up with his teammates and finding his man, basically. When Johnson came on, that light went out the window. So I think I appreciated what Odobert was doing more when he went off than when he was on the pitch. He also had a couple of decent runs to the byline, a couple of good cutbacks, but obviously that could have been a bit better. But yeah, 6 wasn't like incredible, but I appreciated what he was doing when he went off.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think 6 is fair for Wilson. A lot of the work he does go unnoticed. I do think he needs to kind of learn to bring other players into the game a little bit more when he's working his wizardry out on that wing. Try and bring Udogie into the game. Try and bring Richie into the game. Try and bring the 10, whether it's Xavi, whether it's Bergvall in there, whether it's Sarr, whoever it may be. Try and link up with them as much as possible. And again, for wingers, for me, I want to see output. I'm looking at goals, assists. Those are the kind of things that I want to be seeing as well. So he needs to try and, up that in his game a little bit more, and try and create. He did score some important goals last season as well. Scored a very important goal in that Europa League. So yeah, I think the future is bright for Wilson. He just needs to keep working away. Hopefully, we'll get an opportunity against Doncaster as well to show what he's about.
Next up, Mohamed Kudus. I gave him an 8. I thought ran rings around Kadioglu, especially in that second half. It was like at points it was just like keep feeding Kudus because he has a beating of him, and every time he was going down the line, getting those cutbacks, creating opportunities. Obviously, he ended up with 2 assists as well. Set up the first goal for Richarlison, set up the own goal as well. So. He was a nuisance throughout the whole game. If it wasn't for some poor finishing from Xavi, he could have had 3 assists. He was just non-stop causing problems on that right-hand side, and they didn't know how to handle him. They doubled up on him, didn't help. He could go inside, he could go outside, and it just seems though Brighton were lost in how to deal with him. And I thought as the game went on, he just grew and grew in influence. Was so unlucky right at the end, nearly got the winner with that deflected shot as well. I thought Kudus was immense. The only thing I would say is he had so many chances to create chances that, could he have done a bit more with them? But it's kind of that's. I feel like that's how he is. He kind of attempts. Like I think he attempted 12 dribbles on the day, completed 6. But that's a lot, and he's kind of a volume kind of player. So I think really good display.
See, I'd be even a bit more generous with Kudus. I'd give him a 9, Sim, because I think that without him, we're losing that game. The wing play that he shows is just absolutely phenomenal. He can beat his man pretty much every single time. Where I think he does need to get a little bit better is with those cutbacks. He gets into the right positions, but then sometimes he'll play the wrong ball. Sometimes he's a little bit afraid to shoot as well. Just cut back in on your left and just have a pop. So I do want to see him shooting a little bit more and being a bit more selfish. But in terms of what he brings to this team, we haven't had that kind of player in a very, very long time. If you think back to some of our wingers we've had, maybe Aaron Lennon, with that fast pace. But he offers more than Lennon because he's powerful. His strength, his ability to hold off players. Just what a phenomenal player we've got on our hands with Mohamed Kudus.
Yeah, I feel like once Frank really gets into him as well, gets him being that little bit more effective, there's going to be no stopping him, isn't there?
Oh, trust me. When we start linking up, and it becomes second nature for that 10 to be running on into those cutbacks, that like that Xavi chance, you give Xavi another 5 of them, he's putting all 5 in the back of the net. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we have to be very, very confident with what we're seeing there. Fantastic.
Next up, Richarlison. I gave him a 7. I actually was a lot better from Richarlison, I thought, than we've seen in the last few games. He got his goal, but I actually think the hold-up play, his ability to bring other players into play, his link-up play was much better than against Bournemouth and against even West Ham, where he struggled, I thought, to get into the... Well, West Ham he didn't play, did he? He came on. He was at Villarreal, struggled a bit as well to get into the game fully, but he looked a lot sharper in this game. And he got his goal, worked so hard for the team, and I thought he deserved his goal that he got. I actually thought it was a pretty good display. It wasn't bouncing off him like it has done. I thought his link-up play was a lot better. So yeah, I was pretty happy with Rishi yesterday. I gave him a 7.
Yeah, I'd agree. Either 7 or 8, maybe even, because he did get that goal to drag us back into the game. And I think, again, Richie's one of these players. We do need to be creating chances for him. And we didn't create that much for him, and he fed off the scraps that we did get him, and he got us a goal. His work rate, he's relentless. He's a nuisance. He causes havoc for the opponents. And he's up to 3 goals now in the Prem this season. So yeah, he's just got to keep ticking away and keep scoring those goals when he gets a chance.
Absolutely, yeah. On to the substitutes. Xavi Simons came on I think, the hour mark. I gave him an 8. I thought phenomenal cameo, really changed the game. Not only did he elevate the team, he elevated Bergvall as well when he came on. I thought he was fantastic in that number 10. Really looked at home there, picking up those little pockets of spaces, and the way he was weaving in and out of players, creating chances. He had that shot, brilliant save by Verbruggen. He had that chance arriving late in the box when Kudus cut it back. Should have done better with that. He also was involved in the goal, brilliant in the build-up to the second goal, spraying a lovely pass out wide to Kudus after weaving outside a couple of players. And I thought he was just doing that kind of stuff total. And what I really liked about him is he was really trying to link up with Richarlison, trying to play the ball into his feet and get the ball back and receive it. He was always trying these little give and goes. And once they start to learn his game, he's gonna really explode. And considering that was the first time we saw him in the 10 in the Spurs shirt, there's so much to be excited about in that position. I thought he was exceptional when he came on.
I agree with everything you just said there, Sim. He was phenomenal. The only thing that he's not getting a 9 or a 10 in that is the fact that he didn't score one of those two fantastic chances he had. But we will see that. We will see that. I'm so confident about this kid. He's got all the attributes to go straight to the very top with Tottenham. And yeah, I want to see him in that 10 week in, week out. That for me, that's his position. He looked 10 times better than what he did out on the wing. So maybe even hopefully, I know Doncaster, maybe some of the youngsters will get, but why not? Why not give him, a chance to shine against a team, that he should be shining against, like Doncaster, get some quality around him, finish the game off in the first half, and then you bring on even more kids, that hopefully that's what we do.
Next up, Brennan Johnson. I gave him a 4. I have to say, it was a bad substitution, I felt, from Frank, because we were really hurting them from all angles. And I thought once Johnson came on, it just killed any kind of chance creation that we were getting down the left-hand side. And I thought if you're going to do that, then maybe bring Tell on. Maybe that's a better fit because he can keep the ball a bit better than Johnson. Johnson was just wasting it every time. He was playing these passes first time inside and it wasn't working at all. He was giving it away constantly. He was quite frustrating. And actually, I think it hurt us in general, him coming on. And I think it hurt our ball progression down that side. And it kind of killed a bit of our momentum down that side as well. Especially as well, I feel like bringing Johnson on when teams are sitting deeper is not like the best, because they were sitting a bit deeper to kind of see out the game. I just don't know if bringing Johnson in that game state is the right move because he can't really deal with space. He doesn't like to take the ball into feet and build up. And I understand, sometimes you need a late runner in the box in those situations, so he can provide that. I don't know, it was just a frustrating cameo from me, from Johnson.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, Sim. Without being too harsh, it was a 4 or a 5 kind of performance from Johnson. He didn't have that much time on the pitch, but what time he did have, he didn't really impact the game. And yeah, it seemed like a bit of a strange one from Frank. Why not bring on a Tell? Um, yeah, but he wanted to give Johnson a few minutes, I guess, try and see if he can get on the score sheet. He likes a late goal and stuff, but yeah, it just wasn't his day today.
Interesting, isn't it? Johnson, 3 games in a row, hasn't started. So a bit out of favour at the moment from Frank, even though he scored 2 out of his first 3 games. And now he's been out of the team. So Frank clearly wanting more from him as well. And next up is Thomas Frank. I gave him a 7. I think overall good performance. I know we were 2-0 down, but I thought he managed the game well. The subs he did in general impacted the team really well, apart from obviously the Johnson one wasn't great. But I think moving Javi into the 10, putting Bergvall deeper was a really good move. And it was brave as well because it could have left us a bit open, but we weren't left open, and it worked a treat. I think in general, the way we set up and the way we played, we should have won the game, and we were really unlucky. Obviously, we didn't win, but I thought he managed the game fairly well, and we got us back from 2-0 down. The mentality instilled in the team really positive, and I thought we played well in general. So yeah, I gave him a 7.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. To come back and get the point. Yeah, sevens all round. For me, the one negative for me is just that starting lineup. That midfield for me. I didn't want to see Bentancur and Palhinha in the same midfield, and unfortunately, he did go with those two. So that's the only slight negative that I have taken from that game.
Yeah, again against Wolves, hopefully we see that Bergvall and Simmons together.
It's got to be Bergvall, Simmons, and then a Bentancur or Palhinha, whichever one he chooses. But yeah, you've got to have more creativity and more going on in that midfield against Wolves, for sure.
All right, well, that is your player ratings. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of our ratings. Do you agree with what I rated a lot of the players, or do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section below. Just a quick update. Arsenal trailing at home to Man City 1-0. Erling Haaland with the goal. Quick start for Man City, but Arsenal do have a corner now. We know how they do from there. So hopefully that result can hold. That means Spurs will finish the weekend in second place, I think, if that result holds. Which would be a nice way to end the weekend. Wouldn't complain about that. Corner in and City get it clear. All right, we're going to end off the show with reacts as to see how the internet reacted to the game against Brighton. And as well, not just that, it was a great day for our loanies. I think a number of our loan players scoring yesterday. And as you can see, the first one up, tweeted out by Gus. This was George Abbott's goal yesterday for Wickham as they, I don't know if they won, but it's a lovely goal. He moved up the leagues to League One and seems to be still going strong there, George Abbott. Brilliant turn and finish from him. And our loanies are doing really well this season. No, apologies. Yeah, it's a really nice goal from George Abbott. World Class says, we stopped forcing the issue almost immediately after Brennan came on. I don't know how he does it, bro. That was my complaint about Brennan Johnson. He really killed a bit of our momentum, didn't it? And that is the one thing that is how much he does score goals. Like our build up down whatever side he's on really kind of dies when he's on the pitch, and we got to kind of find a way of overcoming that.
Agreed.
Spurs Global with some statistics from Destiny and Mohamed Kudus yesterday. Udogie, as you can see there, 3 ground duels won, 10 passes into the final third, 10 recoveries as well. Brilliant stuff from him. And Kudus, 6 successful duels, 8 ground duels won, 1 assist, 2 chances created, and 5 recoveries. It was a brilliant display from those two, and yeah, really, really encouraging. Next out was some stats from the game yesterday. As you can see, our field tilt was strong, if you like the stat field tilt. I don't even know what that means, field tilt. But apparently our field tilt was very good yesterday. I think what you can take away here is that if you look at the bottom right graphic, if you go to that one, Simmons was only on the pitch for half an hour, yet he had the most progressive carries out of anyone on the pitch. So it just goes to show what impact kind of he made. And he was absolutely brilliant in his little cameo, Xavi Simmons, yesterday. Really, really great to see him playing in the 10. BLTHFC says, am I the only one who thought Palhinha played well, protected the back four really well, especially on Porro and Udogie were out of position? Have you seen the discourse around Palhinha, Amir, like online and stuff? Some people still thinking, you know, is he the right guy for us? Does he do enough on the ball? Like, what have you made of his start to life at Tottenham?
Wow, really? You know, as someone who tries to go to as many games as possible, I think he's been phenomenal, Sim. I don't understand what the debate's even all about. You know, if you see how he goes into tackles and how he wins balls and second balls, and he's not there to play 60-yard dreamy balls, you know, to the wingers. That's not what he's in the team for. So for the role that he's assigned to do, he's doing it to the best of his ability, and I absolutely love him. I'd sign him right now.
Yeah, I think he just does what the role requires, just winning as many duels as possible in the middle, and then allowing the more creative players to flourish. He's not here to be a deep line playmaker.
Exactly, and this is the thing, Sim. There may be some games where he shouldn't even play. Maybe against, for example, Doncaster, don't play him. Wolves even maybe don't play him. Maybe we don't need him against Wolves. Play Bentancur there, who can do a similar job, but he's also a bit silkier on the ball. Maybe Bodo for the Champions League, and you want a bit of that solidity. Play him against Bodo. You know what I mean? Use him sparingly where you need to use him. All the big 6 teams, for example, in the Prem, we're going to need him. He's going to need to start. But yeah, anyone asking questions about Palhinha, I would want to question your football knowledge, really, to be honest with you, because yeah, he's been phenomenal.
And for me as well, what he's good at, he's actually one of the best in the league at what he's good at, which is winning those duels, covering the ground, getting stuck in. Like, very rarely he goes into a 50-50 and comes out second best. And look, as much as he's not like as good on the ball as some of the best sixes in the league, he's not as bad as people say he is. Like, he's not great, but he's not like someone who can't play a bit as well. So I think he maybe deserves a bit more credit. Bait the Pressure says Udogie was incredible against Brighton today. Having a natural left footer at left back changes everything. The angles, the progression, the balance. He completely shut down Minte, read the game brilliantly and carried the ball with purpose. Every time he linked with Odobert, Spurs looked sharper and more in control. He didn't just defend, he dictated the flow of the game. Calm, intelligent and unstoppable. A proper man of the match display. For you, does he come in now as our first choice left back in the Premier League?
I think so, Sim. I think that position is, it's either him or Spence.
James Coy says Udogie and Kudus were our two best players today for sure. Palhinha's also got a shout, but look, those two really had a brilliant game. Jonas Zorro says points out the VAR, what was allowed for Man United and what was disallowed for Tottenham and how close they are. Can I just say with this offside stuff, I think it's utter bullshit where they draw the line, because they have on your arm, they have a line on your arm where they draw the line from. If you click in the picture, it isn't the end of a shirt sleeve. It's apparently it's where the armpit ends, but that is so subjective where on the arm you draw. And some places it's going to be a bit high, like an inch higher, some places an inch lower. There is no pinpoint place that they draw the line from on the arm. And I think there needs to be a more definitive, okay, is it the shoulder? Is it the feet? Or is it somewhere where everyone can understand where exactly they're drawing the line from? Because they could literally draw the line anywhere across this, between the shoulder and your elbow. They could draw it anywhere across there and people would have to accept it. And I think it's absolute bullshit. It's so subjective where between the elbow and the shoulder they should draw it. I don't know the perfect place. Where is it? Where is it between the elbow and the shoulder they draw the line? I think it's utter nonsense.
I couldn't tell you, Sim. I couldn't tell you, and I couldn't tell you what they do in those VAR rooms or what goes on at Stockley Park, because we've seen so many terrible decisions, not just this year, but for the last 4 or 5 seasons since we've had this VAR stuff. You could make a montage of them and you'd be here all day.
But look, if you click it, Sam, if you click into the picture, just that's where they draw it for Bruno. So only that part of his arm is over, so it counts as onside. But then you go to R1, and then if you go to the next picture, that's where they draw it for Van de Ven. So, I don't understand where they're drawing the arms. It seems to be 2 different positions. It seems to be just whatever they can. That's so easily manipulatable, is my point.
Yeah,
because you can draw it anywhere in that line, because it's not. Apparently, it's not the end of a shirt sleeve. It's where the armpit ends. Some stupid rule. I don't really understand where you're meant to draw the line.
There's only one way. Only one way to stop the debate, Sim. There's only one way.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, get rid of offside completely.
Oh, offside?
Get rid of offside completely.
No, you can't get rid of offside.
Why not?
Because that wouldn't lead to what you. I think it would lead to everyone just defending really deep, because you can't be caught offside.
It will change the game completely. I agree, but it would stop all these silly debates over a line here or there,
But then you bring goal hanging back.
Is it better than having these debates over lines?
I just think offside needs to be drawn via the feet, and that's it. You do it from the feet, and that's all it is. If your feet are onside, they're onside. If you're offside, they're offside. That's it's so simple. I don't know why they're complicating it with this bullshit of where you are, where it lands on your arm between the elbow and the shoulder, and where they draw the line, and it could be an inch to left or right, and no one can say any different. It's ridiculous. And then when you're dealing with millimeters, an inch to the left or right makes all the difference. So you could really easily manipulate that into your whatever favor they want.
But then even if but then Sim, the same thing could happen about a foot. You know what I mean? If one foot's like that and one foot's like that,
No, but at least you
you're
know
gonna
it's
have
the at
arguments
least
over
you
millimeters
no, but
anyway.
that's true. But at least you know it's the end of the foot. Here, I
I
don't
see
know
what you
where it
mean.
is. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
could
I
be
see what you
anywhere.
mean. It will be clearer than what
Yeah.
it is now. But
Now
yeah,
it's a joke. Now it's ridiculous, in my opinion.
I see what you mean.
What this
I see what you mean.
offside is. To Trunk says my Hilario Vicario agenda is intensifies. Is that a bit harsh, Hilario Vicario?
Yeah, come on now, like, yeah, it was a mistake, but you know the amount of games he's kept us in, the amount of brilliant saves, you know, up at City as well. You've got to put some respect on Vicario's name, mate.
Yeah, I think he's having a decent season. I know he didn't have a good game yesterday, but remember that Bournemouth game for me was phenomenal. That kept us in the game. I think he's Man City as well. Made some big saves at 0-0 before we went on to win the game. So I think in general he's actually had a really good start to the season. I was one who at the beginning of the season was saying maybe Kinski could fight for his place, but at the moment I think Vicario, I know he made that one mistake, but I'm not willing to drop him just yet. No. Poseidon says Vicario really could have done better for that second goal, I know, but it was far from a howler, as some are saying. Still one of the best and most underrated keepers in the league. Happens to everyone. Look, I think it was a howler, in my opinion. He has to save that. It was a bad mistake. And I think he'll know that. I think the way Frank is a very kind of he's not somebody who's going to call someone out in public, is he, Frank? And the fact that he was like saying, oh, Vicario, you know, he could have done better, but you know, I told him that. Like that was basically Frank's version of a bollocking. I feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, because if he knows that Vicario should have saved it. I think everyone knows that. Squawker says no player has made more tackles in the Premier League this season than João Palhinha. 13 of them have come in the last 2 games against West Ham and Brighton. One thing I have noticed about João is he definitely seems to perform better when we're away from home, I feel. Man, I think maybe he's more built for those kind of games. What do you reckon?
Maybe he hyped himself up for those big away days. You know, there might be something in that. I want to see these great performances continue. I think he's just, phenomenal at his job. Absolutely phenomenal.
And that's it. That is how the internet reacted to Spurs' 2-2 draw away at Brighton. And that's it for today's show. Big up to everyone. I'll allow everyone watching to go and watch the rest of Arsenal's game against Man City. Currently 1-0 to Man City, so let's hope they can hang on to that one.
City.
Big up to you, Amir. Appreciate your time as always, mate. Thanks for joining the stream.
No worries,
and I'm going to see you later as you get battered at paddle. Looking forward to that. Come on. Big up to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining the stream. We'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Tom.